You know, when you hear the word survival, what pops into your head? Probably something with trees, maybe a log cabin. But for most of us, that's not our reality. Home is a high-rise building, and when a disaster hits the city, all the rules of survival get thrown out the window. Forget the wilderness. We need to figure out how to master the concrete jungle.
And this quote, man, it just nails the central problem. All those things that make your apartment so awesome, the elevator, the running water, the AC, they all depend on a grid that can and will fail. In a crisis, they become your biggest liabilities. This is the challenge we're going to break down right now.
So here's our game plan. We're going to go step by step to turn your apartment from a potential trap into your personal fortress. We'll kick things off by looking at the building's weak spots, then we'll get into life support, power, and food. After that, we tackle security, and we'll finish with maybe the biggest decision you'll have to make. Do you stay or do you go?
Okay, first things first, we got to understand the beast we're dealing with. Think about it. Your apartment is completely dependent. It's plugged into this giant, fragile network. That power grid, it's the lifeblood. It runs the pumps that get water to your faucet. It runs the heat, the AC, the elevators. When that grid goes dark, your building's life support system is just gone.
So that brings us right to our first priority, the absolute essentials, water and temperature. Seriously, forget about everything else for a second. If you don't have these two figured out, nothing else is going to matter. Let's start with the big one, water.
The second you think something's wrong, a hurricane warning, a weird power surge, whatever, this is your first move. No hesitation. Get that bathtub scrubbed clean and fill it right to the top. A bathtub liner is an amazing tool here because it'll keep all that water sterile for a long time. And don't forget those little hidden stashes of water. Your water heater can hold gallons of clean drinking water, and the tank in the back of your toilet, and I mean the tank, not the bowl, obviously, is another great emergency source.
So why all the panic? Why fill the tub immediately? It comes down to this number, 8.3 pounds, for just 1 gallon. Now picture yourself on the 15th floor. The elevators are dead. Are you really going to haul 8.5-pound jugs of water up 15 flights of stairs? No way. It's a logistical nightmare. You have to store the water you have right now while the taps still work.
All right, next up, climate control when the power is out. In the summer, your apartment can turn into an oven, right? The trick is airflow. Open windows on opposite sides of your apartment to create a cross breeze. To really get it going, hang some wet sheets in front of the windows. It's like a low-tech air conditioner. Now, winter is a totally different game. The strategy here is to shrink your world. Don't even think about heating the whole place. Just pick one small room, hang blankets over the doorways to seal it off, and then, get this, set up a small tent inside that sealed-off room. It sounds crazy, but your own body heat will keep that tiny space amazingly warm.
Okay, so we've got a handle on water and climate. We're moving up the pyramid of needs. Now we've got to create our own little ecosystem for power, light, and this is a big one, information. Because in a crisis, knowing what's going on is absolutely everything. Just imagine this for a second. The lights are out, and it's not just your apartment, it's the whole city. And it's silent. That's a deep, unsettling quiet. So, how do you power up when you're stuck in a concrete box, miles above the street?
Okay, let's get one thing straight, and this is non-negotiable. A gas generator inside your apartment is a death sentence. The carbon monoxide is a silent killer. Just don't do it, ever. The only safe option is a portable power station. You can think of it like a giant power bank. You can recharge it with some foldable solar panels you hang off your balcony, or even just tape to a window that gets good sun. It's not going to run your fridge, let's be realistic, but it's more than enough to keep the real essentials juiced up, your phone, some lights, and that all-important emergency radio.
And speaking of safety, candles. Just no. Avoid them at all costs. Think about it. In a major disaster, do you really think the fire department is coming for a fire in your building? Probably not. A single, knocked-over candle could turn into a blaze that takes down the entire building. The rule is simple. No open flames. Period. Stick to LED lanterns and headlamps. They're safe, they're bright, and they won't put you and hundreds of your neighbors at risk. All right, let's shift gears to longer-term survival. We've tackled water, power, and light. Now we have to talk about managing your food and, yeah, the one thing nobody wants to think about, but it could literally be the deadliest threat in a disaster, sanitation. Your freezer is an absolute gold mine of food, but that gold mine is on a ticking clock. You've got about 48 hours, maybe, if the freezer is packed full and you resist the urge to open it. After that, it's thawing city. So your strategy has to be eat the good stuff first. Cook everything from your fridge, then move on to the freezer, before you even think about cracking open a can of beans. And this leads us to the least glamorous, but maybe the most important part of this whole plan: sanitation. Without running water, the city's sewer system just stops. If you flush your toilet, you could be inviting a flood of raw sewage right back into your apartment. The solution is simple, it's effective, and it's called the two-bucket system. And trust me, this is what will keep you from getting sick from some really nasty diseases. Okay, here's exactly how you do it. First, line your toilet bowl with a heavy-duty trash bag. Now you dedicate bucket number 1 for liquids only. The toilet itself, with the bag in it, is now for solids only. And here's the absolute key. After every time you use it for solids, you cover the waste with something absorbent. Kitty litter is perfect, but sawdust works too. This dries it out and kills the smell. Then you just tie the bag off securely and store it in a sealed container out on your balcony. It's actually a really clean, totally manageable system when you think about it. So, up to this point, we've basically been fighting the environment. But now, the game changes. As a crisis drags on, the biggest threat might not be the cold or a lack of water. It might be the people around you. Security becomes everything. This timeline is so important for understanding the psychology of a disaster. For the first couple of days, there's usually a sense of community. We're all in this together. But after about 72 hours, when supplies start running low and people get truly hungry and desperate, that mood can flip on a dime. This isn't pessimism, it's a predictable human response, and you have to be ready for it before it happens.
So, what's your best defense? It's not a big lock or a weapon. It's being invisible. This is what's known as the gray man strategy. The whole point is to make sure nobody has any idea that you've prepared, that you have food, water, or a way to charge your phone. If they don't know you have it, you don't become a target. Your success is your secret. You have to remember that.
So how do you actually pull this off? Well, any light coming from your apartment at night is a giant flashing sign that says, "I have power." So you have to cover your windows completely. Blackout curtains are great, but even just taping aluminum foil over the glass works. And don't be the person cooking bacon whose smell wafts down the entire hallway. Keep any sounds, like a radio, super low. And hey, if you run into your neighbors, you don't look well-rested and happy. You look just as tired and worried as they do. It's an act, for sure, but it might be the most important performance of your life. Everything we've talked about, water, power, security, it's all designed to help you bug in, to stay put. But look, no fortress can last forever. And that brings us to the final and probably the most difficult decision you'll ever have to make, knowing when your fortress is no longer a fortress, but a trap, and when it's time to go.
This decision really boils down to a simple but pretty brutal calculation. You stay as long as your apartment is the safest place for you to be. That means the building is solid, you've got supplies, and the world outside is pure chaos. You leave, and you leave immediately if there is a fire anywhere in your building, or if you see big, scary cracks appearing in the walls. That's a sign of structural failure. Or if your water supply completely runs out and you have no way to get more. These are your red lines. They are non-negotiable reasons to get out.
And if you do have to leave, there are some hard and fast rules. Rule number 1 is absolute. You never, ever, ever take the elevator. A simple power flicker could trap you in a metal box for good. It's always the stairs. Which leads to the next point, your emergency bag, your bug-out bag, has to be light enough for you to actually carry it down, say 20 flights of stairs without collapsing. This isn't the time to pack the kitchen sink.
And really, this is what it all comes down to. When you understand your apartment's weaknesses, when you prepare your own life support systems, and when you have a solid plan for food, security, and evacuation, you flip the script. You stop being a victim of the city and you start being its master. Look, the city is fragile, but with a little knowledge and preparation, you don't have to be. A disaster is terrifying, yeah? But being unprepared, that's a choice. So the real question is, have you done what it takes to master your own environment?